evening, welcome to the show. Joining me, Nicholas Jones, on the panel this week is Sue Craven.
Hello.
Josie Reese. And Claire Browning-May. As we talk about this week on the show, we talk about the disability world all over again, as it's been impressed this week that a young girl has had to wait 7 weeks instructed by a school, even though the school knew she was coming to them a year in advance, because they wasn't fit for her to come in. Accessories wasn't put in, and it made her homeschool for a little bit longer. Also, we talk about the world of Veolia this week as lorry drivers go on strike. But do strikes really make a difference? And we talk about ex-partners, because this week we've been celebrating Could You Forgive an Ex-Partner Day this week, was on the 17th of October. So find out, is forgiveness really the key to your happiness? All that on this week's list. Good evening, panel. I very nearly messed up then. I very nearly messed up, and I was like, carry on. Good evening, Claire Browning-May. You are a superstar. Claire has literally just walked through the door and has been called onto the show because we had someone call off. So Claire, you're amazing. Sue Craven, how are you? Not seen you for a while. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Pleased to be here, Sue.
Oh, thrilled to bits.
And Josie Reese, how are you? We haven't seen you in a while either.
I'm still alive, so...
Still alive. Good, that's good to hear.
Make of that what you will.
Josie, just to let you know, really, because I should have messaged you after the last show that we talked about. We were talking about gender in the last show, and I brought you up. So have a listen to not this show, but the last show, just to see if you agree with what I said. I'm not going to say no more.
Am I your token gender friend?
Yeah, just see what I've said. Let's get started straight away. Sorry we wasn't with you last week. Technical problems, as always, with the world of Facebook, but we are working through it. So please stick with us. If you do watch us on a group, this is just a word of warning. If you do watch us on a group, it is taking us that tad bit longer to share in every group that we usually share in. Please click on the loose links tab at the top of the show that will take you straight through to the Loose Links Facebook page. And please click a follow and follow us, because the shows are there week in, week out, 9 o'clock. So please follow us. But we start this week, ladies, Oh, how wrong was I there, Josie? Straight away. Everybody, we start off with this week with a discussion about an 11-year-old girl said she had lost her independence since a stressful return to the classroom after 5 years of being homeschooled. Imogen has cerebral palsy and stated, I'm not going to name the school, I don't think it's there, but stated that she was supposed to join in September. Her mother said delays in adaptations led her daughter experiencing a number of problems, with Imogen saying that she sometimes hates school. So we talk about education a lot and how children have missed out because of COVID. Do you feel adaptations should be in place in works and schools regardless of disability? Do you think that we need to be thinking ahead to make sure everybody feels like they can attend a job, or even something as simple as a day in a school? Let's go to you first, Claire, actually, because this might be quite interesting to hear from you, Claire. Because Claire, I've had 2 of us are in education on the panel tonight. Claire, what do you think of this?
Well, from, like you say, an educational point of view, and also from a mother with a child with cerebral palsy who, went through mainstream school, I'm quite shocked, actually, that she's actually to be homeschooled for such a long time. Because for my son, I thought that he was dealt with really well. Yes, when he got to secondary school, he didn't like it, but he was like one of hundreds who don't like school. But all the things were put in place and that it is down to the school, but also as a parent, you want to make sure that everything is in place for your child. I find that primary school is a lot easier because they go from class to class with their peers, and it is at that school. It was an old school, and they did make adaptations even for a doorway. They made it larger so that he could access that through with his wheelchair. And you know, any equipment, standing frames were put in. He had occupational therapy, and the physios would come in so that, you know, school is so busy anyway. At that time I wasn't working in a school, but now I realize, gosh, they, you know, to fit the time in to do exercises and things, it made him feel he didn't really like the exercises, but you know, it made him just feel part of the school. And even when he went up to secondary, hard for me because then I'm not there as much. Whereas primary, I could go into the school, wait for him, pick him up, etc. But at secondary, they become more what's the word?
Independent.
That word.
Yeah,
So
independent.
yeah, I'm really, like I say, from both points of view, I'm really shocked, and the parent and the child must be, you know, so frustrated. It must be awful because, you know, they just want to be included, and that's what everybody should be, no matter what race, gender, or disability they've got. As much as they can, if they're able to access mainstream, then they should adapt it to each person.
Inclusion is such a big word nowadays as well, isn't it? It's a massive word. Like 10 years ago, inclusion was looked upon, but it's looked upon even more in as times move forward. Sue, I don't want to put you on the spot at all, and I'm not going to say where or what you were doing, but you've been in management in education. Do you think it's kind of shocking that we're still having these barriers for disability?
Yeah, I thought it was statutory legislation, but I discover it's not. You know what it all comes down to? It all comes down to funding and budgets. They don't get the money now. They haven't got the money for the special needs assistants. They haven't got the money for classroom assistants. They haven't got the money to kit out a toilet or something. And a lot of these schools don't have an area or anywhere, and they just, as I say, they haven't got the money to do it, and they can't get any funding. You used to be able to get a pot of funding from the county council, which they would give you, so you would be able to get whatever you needed, changing facilities, your room changed, adapted for your wheelchairs and things. There's not that money now. It has to come out of your budget, and I think this is half of the problem.
Josie, was you shocked to hear this? And do you think that, as Sue said, really, it comes down to funding? Do you think we need, and money's always an argument, isn't it? But actually, do we need to be, have our children already missed out because of COVID, because of that 2 years of being at home? Do we need to think about putting more money into the education system?
I wasn't shocked, no, but that's because I'm a realist and I've lived in this country for long enough to know that it's all a bit unshockingly bad. God, I sound cheery today, don't I? Yeah, I mean, there definitely should be more, but there's also right. Okay, so Sue's right in that it's a money issue essentially, and let's just be clear for a second. Like, the money's there. We do have the money. It's just in the wrong place. It's in the wrong pots. We had the millions of pounds to send to like dodgy PPE deals that fell through with friends. Like, the money is there. It's just being
Mishandled, misused.
Yeah. So it just needs redirecting. It needs redirecting into public sectors. Teachers and nurses should be amongst the highest paid public sector workers. It's ridiculous that they're not. There should absolutely be more funding for those sorts of changes and improvements within reason, because let's face it, like at a certain point, and I'd like to preface this by saying I haven't actually dealt with physical disability myself, but I think that you are supposed to adapt within reason, aren't you? And otherwise, you're. Am I right in thinking you're classified as not able to access mainstream education and would go to an alternative provision?
But yeah,
I
you're
don't-
right. But they're full
even
now.
then,
Yeah,
Carry on,
they're
sorry.
full now. They're overflowing. Children that should be going to these are being told they're not giving them their it's not, can't remember what they're called now, it's gone out of my mind, but then they're saying, oh, they can go to mainstream, but
Mhm.
because they're just all of the additional needs schools are full. They're full to overflowing. I mean, it's as you say, the money is not being put where it should be put.
We've got where I am now, as in the school when my son went to, it's now been rebuilt in a different area, and so they had to make it an accessible school. So it is on 2 levels, but there is a lift. The problem with that is if you go to any shop, if that lift breaks down, but we have got a hygiene room, we have got a hoist, we've got a shower.
Yeah.
But like you say, again, with the money, we haven't got the people, you know, the one-to-ones. I mean,
No.
I work really lower down, so of course they come in, and you've got, like I say, lots of non-verbal children due to different things. You know, you've got autism and everything else, and 2 children that have just left to go up, they need a one-to-one, and they haven't got one.
No.
We've got a girl that's come in and she's got cerebral palsy, and she's not got a one-to-one.
No.
I mean, a couple of the TAs went on a handling course, but even though I've got a child with cerebral palsy, I didn't go on it. But you know, I'm not allowed to do certain things because I haven't been trained.
Yeah.
And it's like what Josie said, it's the money going to the wrong pot, but you know, it's pressure then on the other TAs
It
that are
is.
working in that
And the teacher and the class teacher,
because
isn't it?
you know that they're there to do a job, but then they're doing a double job because they're trying to do a one-to-one with a child when they're trying to then access a maths or a phonics session, and then you've got a child that's running around, or you know, that's got the needs, and it's terrible.
It's failing everybody, isn't it, Claire?
Yeah, totally.
When it comes from education to work, though, we now have a system, don't we, where when we fill in an application form, we talk about what sex we are, what gender. It's all in there now. But do you think sometimes that as employers we need to go on more training when it comes to disability and when it comes to different kinds of disability? Because sometimes I feel like it's just a tick box. I feel like we're just ticking boxes to say, right, okay, this person's gay, this person's this person's that, but we're not really adapting or changing in the world of work. Where I suppose it's different for different places, isn't it? I suppose in the world of 2023, we've got to find a way that everybody is given the opportunity to do a job or a passion that they really want to do. But actually, still in the year of this year that we're in, are we prepared for that, do you think? Or do you still think we've got a very long way to go when it comes to disability and inclusion and all of that? Silence is golden.
I think
and again, though, depend on you know what type of job you know the disabled person wants to do. But I'm not saying it's easy or not, because my son at the moment is really struggling. But since COVID, you know, that magic word, a lot of people do work from home. So you know, you are in the comfort of your own home, but again, are they oh, I can't think of the word. You have to excuse me.
Don't
Can they
Blair,
do?
I've got a cold. We're all
No.
doing well this evening. We're all doing well. Just keep smiling. Just keep going.
My brain is like that usually, so you can imagine. Yeah, yeah, it's a difficult one, but it's like just trying to include everybody, no matter what, who they are. You know, they need an interview, and if they're good for, they're okay for that job, then why not? You know,
And we have, over the years, I've had so many. I've had children with autism who are mute, but their brain, they are so bright. Children with CP, they are so bright, you know, but it's there, but they need somebody just to support them. And the thing is, this is where we're failing, because we're not supporting them.
What do you think, Josie, as younger generation out of us all on the panel? What do you think of disability and inclusion in the year of 23? You're on mute.
See, I was just saying I'm not the young one anymore, and that shows it with my technical know-how and prowess. I make noise when I get out of chairs now. What was the actual question?
What do you think of inclusion in the year of 23? Do you think
Awful? I hate it.
Do you? Are
No,
you
of course
not?
I don't, you melon.
Oh,
It's
don't
just
say that. I believe every word you say.
That's a dangerous power to give me. It's sort of hard for me because I'm almost like adjacent to the education sector, being in ed tech. So I'm not working directly with schools. I'm not even working directly with our customers anymore because I'm like a learning and development practitioner. So I have like an inside knowledge, I guess, of the education system to an extent, but I don't really get to experience it in the same way as our other panelists do tonight. So I don't really know if I've got much more to offer than what's already been said. Like it's getting better, but I mean,
still got a long way to go.
Yeah, we're dragging our feet.
Yeah.
I mean, last time I was here, we talked about Black British as a category, didn't we?
Well, yeah.
And I actually can't remember if I didn't look into it, but I can't actually remember if that's been added yet at all.
And that's still shocking. Yeah, I remember you saying that. That's still shocking. So, but we did do a poll on it. Do you believe we are doing enough for disability in the year of 2023? Unsurprisingly, 80% of you have said no, we don't do enough, and 20% of you have said yes. Now, you know, ladies, gents, and everybody in between, you know that we have specialised days for everything nowadays. We have Mothering Sunday, we have Father's Day, we have Grandparents' Day, we have Valentine's Day, we have absolutely everything. Well, can you believe that we have on our calendar Forgive an Ex Day? So let's talk about this. Forgive an Ex-Partner Day. So October the 17th, that has just passed. It's been all over TikTok.
It's not on my calendar. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
not mine.
October the 17th is Forgive an Ex Day, a holiday founded in 2018 by Mark Anthony. Relationships can be beautiful as they can be tough. They have an impact. They impact your life forever, for the better or for the worst. The 17th of October is a day of making a conscious decision to forgive. Why? Forgiveness is better for you as you release negative emotions, hence speeding up the healing process. In addition, it allows you to move on and focus on the next beautiful thing that will occur in your life. And you can only do that the 17th of October. That's the only day you can do it, is really think about it. But Ladies, could you ever forgive an ex if they really hurt you?
Well, what kind of hurt we talking here? Are we talking like they told you dress like crap, or are we talking like nail screws? What are we?
Well, the thing is, for me, how I'm seeing this is that if you have a petty little argument, 9 times out of 10 you don't split up. Do you? You move on, you find a way of solving it, and you move on. But if you
9 times out of 10,
quickly,
does that mean I've got 4 more arguments left and then it's done?
no, believe me, mine's off the scale. But if you think about it, if you do have an ex-partner, do you think it's important, even if you're not friends, like 10 years down the line and you've gone your separate ways and separate lives, and I know it's different if you've got children, I know it's very different, but do you think it's important to forgive somebody in your own heart? Do you think
No.
that's important? You don't? Go on, Josie,
No.
tell me why.
No, I tell you what is important is understanding context and your part in whatever happened. I don't subscribe. I've got very little time for forgiveness at the moment, and I'm essentially just living out of spite at the moment instead, and it seems to be going all right for me so far. But no, I think I've had partners that I consider have done me wrong in either in a big way or in a way that has affected me a lot. And that, I guess, is very much open to interpretation. But I think I think that inner peace you're talking about doesn't come from forgiveness. It comes from understanding. So one of my ex-partners, I was talking about with my current partner about this in bed last night, actually. Not as foreplay, just as, conversation. But they were really bad for me, but in the very same way that I was really bad for them. Not that there was no fighting, there was no like domestic issues, nothing like that. We were just wrong for each other, but had made the mistake of falling in love. So we were together like a year and a half longer than we arguably should have been. And for a while I was kind of mad at the things that like I didn't get out of the relationship that I needed, and just focused on that. And I think where my peace regarding that relationship came was when I realized actually I didn't give them what they needed either. That none of their actions were out of malice. It was just we were who we were at the time. You don't always fall in love with the right people, and I think the peace for me comes, like I say, and I almost feel like it's a growing up that not every adult does, but it's just recognizing, oh, actually, I'm the villain of someone's story, and that's okay. As long
Wow,
as
that's a strong sentence,
as long as I don't, aim to sit there, as long as I always move to try and improve myself. Yeah. So I don't really bother with the forgiveness bit of it.
Claire, what about you? What about you? If could you on the 17th of October forgive an ex?
Well, between me and you and the 4 walls, it's like my ex is now 15 years, as a relationship. And I've not been so good over the years with myself and my mental health and things like that. So I've had some counselling, and just what I've learned is, could I do anything about it? Well, it's all in the past, and I just think sometimes you need to leave things in the past, personally. And, in relationships, you get hurt so much. And like Josie said, you try and learn from that, and move on. And, if you really sit down and think about why you split up for whatever reason, if you wasn't good for each other or if they cheated or whatever, if they've cheated, they've done it, and was it your fault? Wasn't your fault? It's happened. And if you dwell on that, it's heavy. It's really heavy on the heart. And life's hard enough as it is without blaming yourself for something personally. well, Josie, I'm a lot older than you, you know, and I've had I don't know, I've had a lot of relationships over the years. And I personally have to think enough is enough, right? Yeah, and move on. Forgive is, like you say, is a very strong word, and forgive them. You know, as far as I know, all my exes, you know, are happy and what have you, and I'm glad, you know, a lot of them are out my life. But it's no good dwelling on it, and you know, having an actual day for forgiveness. It's just usually like stick
I
two
think
fingers up, and I'm glad they've gone. But
there's a time frame in there, because I think the end of a relationship is a bit like grief, and you've got to go through the whole cycle of an end of a relationship before you can even discuss. Like I had an ex-partner that I really wanted to be friends with at the end of it, but actually at the very end of it, it was hard. It was difficult. We couldn't do it. We were falling out. We were rowing, we were arguing and stuff like that. Forgiveness is a very big word, and I think forgiveness comes from within. I think it's not about forgiving that person. I think we've all, well, so I'll come to you in a second, but I think we've all talked about, actually it's about forgiveness within yourself and forgiving yourself to move on from that person. It's not, because when we talk about do you forgive somebody, even when we talk about forgiveness itself, we're not really forgiving that person, are we? Because that person might not give a flying hoot if we forgive them, or if we let go of the hurt and the pain. It's about us moving forward and us moving on. But so do you think that old-fashioned saying is still in now? Do you think the first cut is the deepest?
It is, and I think I agree with both ladies, and I think I agree with both parties, and I think it's finding peace within yourself and acceptance. You have to go through a grieving period, but even though, you know, if you don't think you are, it does take two, and there must have been something. And I mean, I know that, and I think you've just got to think, well, I'm not going to, I will certainly wouldn't be celebrating or doing anything on a forgiveness day, but you've just got to, it isn't, as you say, it's not forgive, it's finding peace with what has happened and starting anew or doing whatever, thinking to yourself, well, that's it now, I'm going to carry on and you know, live for me, live with what I'm going to do. And you've done that.
Do you think we always reflect on, do you think, no, it's really hard, isn't it? So when I go back to the 2012 relationship, which was horrific, I think, and that was the first cut for me. The first cut was 2012. And I think even now, so our wedding day was the 23rd of December. And even now, it's only taken me till last year where I got to the 23rd of December and thought, oh, I've not thought about him today. And that's taken, we're in the year of 2023. Do you know what I mean? That's taken, and I've had a relationship and in a relationship now between that. And I think you are right, Josie, in a sort of way about the finding the right person for you. I think, and tell me if you disagree here, but when we're younger, we're so desperate, aren't we? And I want to speak to younger generation out there, really. If I had any advice to give anybody, it's don't rush into it.
Yeah.
Don't run. Don't. If you think at bloody 22, 23 years old, I remember thinking I need to be married now, I need to be in a relationship, I need to be settling down, I need to be thinking about the future. But there's people actually that find love at bloody 50 or 65. Do you know what I mean? You can't put an age on love, and it's finding that person. Claire, there's still
thank
love
you.
for you.
No, I was just, when you said 50 and then you went higher, I thought, no, lower, 55.
Do you think, because do you think when it comes to finding the one in your one, actually we've got to go through all the experiences of relationships that we've gone through to make us the person who we are today? So you know how people say, oh, I wish I'd met you years ago, I wish I I've met you years ago.
My
and seen-
partner would not have dated me years ago. Frankly, I think I'd have bullied me years ago.
Do you think actually it comes at the right time? Because when I think about my partner now, and he's said, "Oh, I wish I'd met you years ago." Actually, I don't know if it would have worked out years ago because I was a very, very different person years ago. I was mentally unstable. I'm quite happy to say that I was the most least resilient person that you'd ever met in my life. So actually, do you think the right person walks in your life at the right time?
I
I'm
don't actually.
waiting. Doors open. I'm waiting.
Well, good news for you. I don't think it exists. I don't believe in the one. I don't believe in the right person. I think there are people that you're more likely to be compatible with, and then you make up the extra stuff with the effort you put in.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
Love is not just a feeling; it's also a choice. But it's the
Mm.
Oh,
two.
I
It's
so
the
agree on that.
two combined. And I think if you're in a really healthy relationship, which let's face it, lots of us aren't. Like there's lots of us that I've thought I was before and not realized I wasn't getting what I needed. I'm in the healthiest relationship I've ever been in now. It's not because she's the right person. It's because she's a person who understands where I am right now. I understand where she is right now, and we're willing to work to meet in the middle somewhere. And I don't think, I don't. I almost think it's more romantic that way around. I'd rather be loved like that than someone who just loves me because they have to because a star said so.
Do you agree with that though, Sue? Do you agree? Because obviously you're a married woman now. Do you know what I mean? You're happily married now. But do you think you are a very different person if you had met your husband 15 years ago?
Yes, I think so, probably. I know the first time around I got married far too young, but I was like you. I
Yeah.
just wanted this and this and this, and I knew I went into a relationship far too soon. Stayed in it far too long, thinking about the children. So I think it does change you. Had quite a while on my own, which again I think is good because you become more independent, like Claire, because you have to do everything, don't you?
Keep smiling, Claire. Keep going.
But the thing is, I think it's yeah, I think it's a work. I think exactly, it's a work in progress, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to be open, honest, and it's a work in progress.
Do you think we are saying that because let's think about single people here? So let's stick up for them a little bit, Claire. I feel like you're very outshadowed in this panel, so let's stick up for you a little bit. Do you think we are saying that because we are now in comfortable relationships? Do you think if we were a single person, like Claire at the moment saying, I'm still waiting for my one, do you think if we were all single on the panel and not with the people that we were with, do you think we would have a very different story about? Josie, would you feel very differently if you wasn't in? You've just discussed about, oh no, you said there isn't just the one for one person, is this? Do you believe in that too? Do you believe there's the one, or do you think
I agree.
multiple?
No, I agree with Josie. I don't think there's somebody sat out there waiting for you.
Otherwise, polyamory doesn't work, and that works for people.
No, yeah. Do you know, Josie, you always get me thinking.
I'm really quite clever. I just hide it well.
You really get me thinking. Claire, by the end of this show, I'll call myself Nicholas Brown in May. Just to make you feel that little bit better.
Oh, I do love a lavender wedding.
So let's move on. We're talking, I don't know if you've seen it, it's been all over news, and I've had to talk about it this week because every news channel and news article that I've been in, this keeps jumping up. So Veolia has been all over the news the last couple of weeks as lorry drivers go on strike over pay, but strike with a difference. Ladies, there has been violence, there has been shouts, there has been screams, and for the poor workers that have gone in, it has been very, very difficult for them to carry on working. Lorries have been stuck in parks, not been able to get out, people stood at the picket line. But members of the GMB union have today began, so this was at the very start, a 5-day strike. It's gone on for over 2 weeks now, 2-3 weeks. Actions over Veolia waste and recycling plants across Nottinghamshire. The industrial action comes after service providers Veolia refuses the pay offer that reflects on the cost of living crisis. Mansfield has been affected, as Ashfield, Welshcroft Close site, and other areas as well. These plants process household waste and recycling for 250,000 homes in North Nottinghamshire. Refuse collections for Mansfield, Ashfield, and other places, and even the sites in Derbyshire. DMB and local residents has also raised alarm at the prospect of Veolia using temporary agent staff to cover the impact of the dispute. Ladies, have you heard about this on the news? Claire, I'm not going to say exactly where you are in the UK, but we know you are somewhere in Nottinghamshire. Has it affected you? No.
Not what I know of, no. My green bin goes one week, then the blue bin, as in normal waste, goes 1 week, and then the recycling goes. And every 8 weeks, the bottle bin goes. Mine's usually quite empty. So no, I've not noticed anything at all. So yeah, and like you say, I live in the Nottinghamshire area, so I can't. And of course, I work, I come home, I sort the kids, and I flake. That's it, you know. Loose links every now and again.
And again, every week, Claire, every week.
And I'm telling you, people think I've not got a life. That's why I can't meet no one, because I'm always on this tougher.
Nick's cock blocking you.
Claire,
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Josie. Yes, he is, Mr. Nick. But no, I've not been affected.
Do you believe, ladies, strikes really make a difference if it's done properly? Do you think it really does make a difference? Because what I found shocking reading over the news and stuff like that, and there's been videos all over social media of Veolia staff as well, literally sat in front of lorries, screaming, shouting. There's been people pushing people across the road and stuff like that. Do you think strike really does make a difference? Or do you think these poor people are going to be on strike for as long as they go and actually go back on the same pay? Do you think it makes a difference?
Well, look at all the strikes that there are. Look how long the railways have been striking. Months, nearly, months and months. Doctors, consultants. There's just so many people striking at the moment.
But do you think it's right to strike? Do you think it's good? You do. Go on.
Yeah, but something systematically needs to change. Essentially, this is fixed with a wealth tax, like a top end wealth tax, and I'll tell you why, or why I think why. Strikes used to be more effective because, and I'm not saying they're all ineffective now, but they're less effective. But they used to be more effective because the pay gap between your CEO and your average worker was a lot smaller than it is now. Nowadays, we're seeing more and more companies that can afford to wait them out. They can afford to wait till people can't afford to do it anymore and have to go find another job or give up and go back because they can take the loss. They don't care. Because it makes more monetary sense to just let them strike and just wear themselves out. Even in something where the NHS, where there isn't necessarily a CEO, it fits the current government's narrative at the moment. We see Rishi Sunak consistently peddling the idea that the long waiting times on the NHS, the waiting lists, are because of strikes. And it's like, and he's completely ignoring the fact that these were lasting beforehand, the entire length of his government, and a bit before. Like, this is an issue that is much bigger than that, and it just fits their narrative. And the people that will vote them in, support them, and they pay their wages, believe it. So that's fine for them. It doesn't really matter. So there's certain things that need to change. I mean, that particular one doesn't change unless you get a new government. And realistically, I don't know how any government follows this, because the mess is too big to clear up in one term, and people are impatient. But something needs to happen, and outside of that, there needs to be a huge wealth tax on the top earners, which isn't going to happen certainly with current government. And I'm skeptical about it happening in the near future at all.
What I talk about when I talk about strikes and doing it properly is that when.
What do you mean properly?
Well, the thing, a strike to me is not done properly if there's violence.
Right, but women didn't get the vote because they went on strike. They got the vote because they rioted.
Yeah, rioted is a very different question, but well, is it? You are right there, Josie, in a sort of way. But I don't believe. Well, I don't believe in let's get 50. What are we teaching our younger generation when you see all over social media that you go on strike and you fight in the street? When I think there needs to be respect on both sides. So what I'm saying is, if you want to strike, that is very much your decision, and go with it. If you want to strike, that's fine. But leave the workers that don't want to strike. Leave the workers that want to go in and work, that want to carry on working. And I'm not saying they're necessarily happy with the pay, but actually some people can't afford to strike. Especially in the cost of living that we're in right now, some people can't afford to strike. I've done a little bit of investigation in it. GMB is paying Veolia workers to be on strike, but nowhere near the amount that they're getting if they went in every single day. And actually, if those people have no choice, like single people that work for Veolia have one income coming into the house, maybe they don't have a decision to go on strike and they have to carry on working if they like it or not. Surely we have to find a balance.
Yeah, but this has happened for years. Look at the miners' strikes. They used to have to go through picket lines. It was awful. The violence has always been there. It has.
Do you think it's right?
No, but but to say it's wrong does nothing to fix it. And
No.
where there's humans, there'll be violence. We're inherently aggressive people. I don't know about you, but if any of you, if you stub your toe, first thing you do is you swear or you get angry. It's a really natural human response. And in fairness, there's lots to be angry about. There's lots that these workers have to be angry. There's lots that the average worker in the UK right now has to be angry about. Why is rent going up? Why are landlords not taking the hit as opposed to like everyday people? Why is food extremely expensive? Why can we not afford to drive to work because you can't put petrol in the car? Why can we not afford to send our kids to daycare so we can actually go and earn a wage as opposed to sitting around on benefits and let people that need benefits take them? Why is any of this in the situation? And at a certain point, there are definitely valid arguments to be made for strikes being frustrating. I know my partner worked closely with the post office or the postal service in their job, and they had like postal workers that were for the strikes at the time they happened, and they had postal workers that were against the strikes but were forced to strike because they were part of that union. So I can understand there are valid concerns, but from my very naive point of view, and I'll admit I've never had to strike yet, although I have had to have conversations with bosses before and say this is not fair pay.
Have you actually
at a certain
that?
point, because I know I'm worth it, because I know that I'm a hireable person. I'm needed where I am. If I need another job, I'll get another job. It's fine. Like, it might be stressful for me, but I'll do it. But no, it's really important in the workplace to know your worth. But no, like, there's.
How old are you now, Joseph? Just asking that question. How old are you now?
30, but I've only learnt that in the last 2 years.
And I was just about to say that. Would you have been as strong 10 years ago?
I don't
if
think I'm
you-
strong. I think I'm angry. I think there's a
Right.
difference. I think there's a difference, and I'll be honest. My autism helps because I can very rarely like put a mask on things, and masking is not my forte. And all my managers know they get complete honesty with me all day, every day, which is a blessing and a curse. But I guess I've just learned to embrace that. People that aren't used to it, especially from a woman, but it's needed. You have to know your value, and that's what these people are doing. They're fighting for their worth. Because if you have an infection, sure, you could just sit in it and go, well, it could be worse. But at a certain point, if you leave it too long, you'll have to chop your bloody arm off. And that might be really painful short term, but then you stay alive and you can learn to live a different way and you can get things. So short term pain, long term gain. It's essentially who buckles first, and it's all about money.
Yeah.
Do you believe in strike action, Sue?
Not in the job that I did, no. I didn't, because too many people, I felt, if I had gone on strike, would have.
What was your job, Sue, if you don't mind me asking?
I was head of early years, and then I was head of, and I always knew that when you are, as you know, you can voice your opinions, but you really can't strike. I never ever stopped anybody striking. If any of my girls wanted to strike or whatever, any of my staff, I never minded, but I never did. I always felt quite conviction for what they were striking for and things. But no, I am in the right setting. I am in the right place. And don't start me, Nick, because the thing is, if you do, it's like consultants, junior doctors, yes, but consultants, most of them, 99.9% of them do private work. And that private work supplements their pay and makes them on a very decent wage. All of the, and it's like a nursery worker. A nursery worker gets the minimum wage, like you, a care worker, a caregiver. You get the minimum wage, you work the longest hours. What do you really get? You don't, but...
Oh, I do. I do. Because the thing is, in the land of care, you don't work in care for money. You just do not work in care for money.
No.
And I work in care for satisfaction. Yeah. I work in care for making somebody smile.
There is a problem there, and I appreciate that, Nick. And it's actually really quite a beautiful sentiment, and I apologise for this, but I'm just checking my electric bill app. Yep. Satisfaction does not come up as a payment option. and that's the world we live in. We're in a Cosy Lives right now. It's bloody hard just to exist. And I long for a world where it's easy for most people to do the job for satisfaction. That would be great. That would be absolutely brilliant, but we don't live in that world right now. No. And if you're making it work right now, Nick, I'm over the moon for you. I really hope that lasts, because you deserve it. And it's nice to see that someone can achieve that, but it's not realistic for the masses right now.
Yeah, but Stu, I sort of want to come back to you about, you said about, again, we never name any company. Don't panic, I'm not going to name any company that you've worked for or working for. But when you've talked about, you said that you were an early years leader in the job, and you never stopped any of your girls going on strike. When we climbed the ladder, so you were looking at an early years leader perspective of not
head. Get it right, head.
Head. Of not striking. If you were in the position,
but that was me. No, that wasn't. That was my choice.
But if you were in the job that your team were in, so you wasn't early years leader, you were teaching assistant. Would you have striked? No. Would you have changed your mind and striked?
No.
No, you still wouldn't have done.
Because I just feel, all the children, you'd be letting the children down, be letting down their working parents and whatever, their education. No, but that's just not me. But I never, ever would condemn anybody and never say, oh, she didn't. That's just my opinion. And that's
I love
just
I love that as well. So no, can I just say I was the head? Can I just say I was the head? I was the head.
Can I just say, Nick, I'm just the TA, and
but it's not only a TA.
but when they went on strike, we didn't. Our head at the time wanted to know who was, so they could fill in the positions. But if one of your workers is going on strike, you don't want to go into a different class to do their job. Do you know what I mean? So it was very. I didn't go on strike, and exactly what Sue said, because of course I'm early years. It's the children. You know, you do the job. I know you do the job for the love of it. You know.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely just knackered. I'm
And
older, of
don't
course,
ever
and-
say, I'm going to butt in here, and don't say only. Schools do not run, any departments, they do not run without your teaching assistants.
And
Totally.
everybody, they come to the cleaners, come
Yeah.
to the teaching assistants, come to the head of years, come to the janitor, come to everybody in the world of education, care, anything like that. Everybody is valued as a team member. There's no, for me, there's no I'm above you or you're below me. I've never seen work like that, but I know some people do. I think we did a poll on it. Let me just double check, because I thought it'd be quite interesting to find out what people think. Do you think strike really makes a difference? 60% of you have said yes, it really does make a difference, and 40% of you have said no. Vicky Pearson has briefly touched on what you've just said, Josie. Look at the history, women's rights, women's votes, workers' rights, all made possible by the collective strikes and processes. Nigel Mullall, absolutely, may it long continue. So that it seems like people are very much on the strike side of things. I think I'm just a little bit more sympathetic. We move on to the next topic, which is Colin Rooney. I can't stand him, but he's been all over newspapers this week. Colin Rooney says, Colleen Rooney, sorry, says,
I was going to say, she.
Can you tell I'm not very well?
I was thinking, I have no idea who this person is. I've never heard of him.
I was going to say the same.
Oh, honestly, I'm full of cold, and I
Don't give that excuse. You like that every week.
Honestly, Nicola, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
Colleen Rooney says Wayne is a different person when drunk and recalls sickening arrest. Wayne Rooney was stopped by the police back in 2017 when he was caught drink driving party girl Laura Simpson home in her VW Beetle while 3 times over the legal alcohol limit. Colleen Rooney recalls the moment her husband Wayne was arrested in 2017 and described the sickening ordeal at length, explaining that the former Manchester United footballer was a different person when drunk and misbehaving. The 37-year-old wag, I hate that saying, the 37-year-old wag was on holiday with a couple of kids when Wayne was stopped by the cops while driving Laura Simpson's car home. He met the mystery 29-year-old on a boozy night out before driving her home in the vehicle, before being pulled over by the police and arrested for being 3 times over the limit. Ladies, would you listen if a closer friend said to you they were worried about your drinking habits?
Yeah, because I don't drink nearly enough.
Hey, I'm with you there, Josie. I'm with you there.
Oh, I'm in a literal sense. Like the part of my brain that tells me I'm thirsty doesn't work, so I have to actively set reminders to drink.
If somebody said to you, Josie, if your partner came home tomorrow and said, "Well, Josie, every night you're having a drink. Every single night you're coming
I
home."
say you're on the
opening-
sauce, love. What are you on about? No, I don't have a problem with that. But I mean, I assume you're assuming a situation where I do have a problem in this hypothetical. So,
Yes.
It's sort of an impossible question to answer, surely. Like, because your brain works differently if you're dealing with. If you go in the full hog and you're dealing with addiction, your brain definitely works massively differently.
No, what I'm saying is, say like you're not even at the point of being an alcoholic, but actually somebody says to you, actually you're a different person when you're drunk. You're not a very nice person. Your drinking's getting more and more. And I'm not saying you're an alcoholic, but somebody points out to you that they're quite worried about you and drinking.
That's fine.
Would you consider and would you listen, or would you be like, whatever?
Yeah, listen, I might not act immediately, because I know what I'm like. I need that initial sod you. But yeah, I think contrary to this brand I seem to be making for myself, where I really don't care about anything or anyone, and frankly could care less if I died tonight.
Oh,
like I'm
Josie, I'll
consistently
talk to you at
trying
the end of the show. Can I just say we do welfare on here? I'll talk to you at the end of the show.
Oh, not actively suicidal, just like I mean, but I mean, like contrary to that, like brand, or persona, I guess. Like I actually really care about improving myself. I'm a horrible anxious wreck basically all of the time. I suffer with chronic anxiety disorder. It's almost crippling, and a lot of that has come from like a people pleasing behavior. So I'm sort of a bad person to ask this, because I would want to, because I'm consistently asking my friends, my colleagues, my partners, like, did I do okay? Like, was that all right? Am I annoying? Am I like, so I'm always analyzing that sort of thing, but so I'm probably not the best person to have started with.
Now, my advice is I think you've hit, when did you hit 30?
I definitely turned 30 this year.
I think give it time, Josie, because 30 was a significant number for me. I'm not saying at all that it's a significant number for everybody, but I think it's a huge turning point, 30 in your life. And I think that, because I was very much like that, and I think as age, ladies, tell me if you disagree, but as you age, and people used to say this to me all the time, when you get older, you don't care. You just turn into this person that doesn't care what people, unless people are close to you, but you don't care what people think. You're a bit more outspoken. And I used to think at like 27, 28, 28, how can people be like that? I really care what people say. I really care about how people see me. And I was very much like you, Josie. Every opportunity I was saying to people, am I doing all right? Am I okay? And I've got to the point now where I care a little less. I do care a little less about, don't get me wrong, I'll still say to people when I meet people or anything like that, if I you off, please tell me, because I'd rather know than be bitched about, than be talked about. Because what difference does that make? We all have a moan and a bitch about everybody, but actually, if we don't directly go up to the person, what difference does it make? It doesn't matter how much we moan and complain. It makes no difference, because that person isn't understanding it. But I think give it time. Ladies, do you agree? So what do you, if somebody said to you, Sue Groven, I came round to you tomorrow night and you got out a bottle of gin, I stayed with you for a couple of nights, and every night you got out a bottle of gin, and I said, Sue, I'm quite worried about how much you're drinking. Would you listen?
Yeah, but I wouldn't. I'd probably tell you to pay off at the time, but then I'd think about it afterwards, and I'd think you probably, would probably be right. So I would think about it.
We're just surrounded by it, aren't we? Especially as we get older, we're surrounded by alcohol. Every social situation that we go in. Claire, I'm sure when you went on your 90s weekend in Butlins, you never touched an ounce of alcohol, did you?
Telling me people about my private life.
It was
Um,
pills for you, wasn't it?
Oh, no. Yeah, paracetamols because I'm getting old from my back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's the one.
I have actually had a friend say that to me.
Have you?
She was worried about me.
How did
because,
you react?
I thought, you cheeky cow. You
Yeah.
know, just because I like a drink, you like your food. And you know, but I didn't tell her that, and then I just went, no, I'm all right. I said it's a habit, which it was a habit, but you know, since, well, like I say, many years on my own, and again, it's the lockdown thing. I enjoy my own company, you know. And was I drinking a lot? Maybe, but you know, I'm responsible for 2 children. I go to work, so you know, I'm not worried.
Has it
Because
changed you, Claire? Since she said it, has it changed you and changed your drinking habits? Or do you think you're just the same?
I'm the same, because I just think, okay, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that was my not go to, but I just thought, you know, people
Was that
do
like your little treat?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely
fine.
my little treat. And if it was becoming a bottle of something like wine every night, then you yourself know that that's a problem. One, because I can't afford it,
Yeah,
you
I was
know,
just thinking.
bottle of wine a night, Gico, but then yeah, but I don't. You know, I've not long been in, and I'm on here, I haven't even had time to get a drink. Do you know what I
You
mean?
know,
But yeah, on a serious note, I was quite shocked, because then I thought, well, she must be analysing me. Do you know what I mean? But she's a good friend, and
I
I
think
didn't take.
everybody has a different limit as well. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
not that far away, so I can't really speak up very too loud. But when I think I'm quite a good drinker, so I don't drink that often. I can drink on my own. I'm very happy on drinking on my own. I'm quite happy on opening a bottle of wine at home when I'm on my own, and I can get through a bottle and still be sober. But I am, because of my, I've talked about my mum on the past on this show, because of my mum being quite a heavy drinker when I was younger, it made me very aware of an adult, of an impact that alcohol can do. So it made me very, very aware. But I think everybody's very different, aren't they? It's going to kill me for saying this, honestly. But when I first found the person that I'm with now, we went to Lincoln Pride this year, and it was the first time we had drank together. The first time ever that we had drank together. And I know my limits, so I know when to stop. Well, honestly, he drove over, and I gave him 1 gin. Never again. Never ever again. So I had a lamp at the top of the stairs. He walked to the top of the stairs, fell over the lamp and broke it. Was on the toilet throwing up from 10 o'clock at night to the next day. I'm quite surprised not walking in. 10 o'clock at night to the next day, throwing up over 1 gin. So never again, ladies. But when it comes to alcohol, though, do you think if you have been caught for drink driving, and thank goodness you've been caught, do you think we need to change the law from just banning somebody for a couple of months to banning for life if you are caught drink driving?
I don't think so. There's, I don't know. It compounds, doesn't it? Am I incorrect in assuming the sentence gets longer if it happens multiple times?
Well, yeah,
Yes,
well,
I
it
think
does. But actually, when you take a driving test or you are behind a wheel, you are basically responsible for lives. You are taking the risk of being in a. I'm learning to drive at the moment. I do not have a flipping clue how anybody could sit behind a wheel taking alcohol because my concentration levels are so high. It's unreal. It's the biggest time we argue because my concentration levels are so bloody high. But actually, I strongly believe that if you've been caught for drink driving, that's it. You're done. In my eyes, that's it. We're taking you off the road and we're banning you for life. You've decided to drive up to a pub, to walk into a pub or a restaurant or at home, decided to have a drink, and you've decided to get behind that wheel. I don't think there should be months of banning. I think you should be banned for life and put on a list to say that you can never drive a car again. Do you agree, Sue?
No, don't. Because I think that impacts on, yes, I do. As you say, it is a killing machine, a car, whatever. And you shouldn't go have a drink. But sometimes, you know, what if that person is an elderly person, hasn't had a drink or anything, and has a heart attack or a stroke at the wheel, becomes unwell, has an epileptic fit, and
But Sue, that's not a choice, is it? That's not a choice.
No,
You're
I know.
choosing to have a drink and go behind the wheel.
Yeah, but you've just said your partner on one drink was like he was.
But no, this is where I'm going to defend, because he would absolutely, even if we went to the pub, he won't even have a shandy.
No.
He won't touch a drop of alcohol. One, because his job's driving, and two, he's very aware that it can make an impact and it can do different. You're irresponsible if you're taking a drink.
I agree, but then I don't think they should be banned for life. I don't, because it might.
But what if that saves lives, Sue?
Yeah, but you can save lives by banning cars. Like, I think I have noticed a pattern. I think with you, Nick. I hope you don't mind me pointing this out. Where you've got a very strong sense of justice, which in itself is inherently not a negative thing necessarily. But I think it means that, like, if you were in charge, I feel like it would be quite draconian. Would almost live in like a Mormon state or something. But I think we live in a society of second chances, and people do. We've spoken even this evening about being completely different people than we were 5 years ago, 2 weeks ago. Like, people do change, and to punish the person I am now for something the person I was 10 years ago isn't always. I mean, obviously there's grey areas and leeway in that for different crimes and that sort of thing. But if we're specifically talking about drinking and driving, there's maybe argument to say that it's worth having a look at upping penalties a bit, but I think a lifetime ban for a first-time offence on that is a very dangerous first step on a slippery slope.
Why dangerous?
Because
surely it's more dangerous to let them behind the wheel again.
No, I disagree on that. Because the danger here is that you then create a expectancy of one and done. You make people more likely to lash out, and then that mentality also seeps into every part of society. So if you have a group of people where they're just expecting this sort of draconian slam down, then that becomes the norm, and that becomes the norm in every aspect of life. And then suddenly we're living in a dictatorship or a fascist regime. It's a very, very slippery slope, that one, and it's just about. I think you're more. Yeah, I think you're better investing in things like rehabilitation programs and helping people get themselves into those situations, rather than necessarily the draconian "you're done, that's it."
Bring somebody in, get them to do like meeting and meet somebody, or have a film of somebody who's in a wheelchair or being killed or lost somebody. That goes far more.
But I'm going to slightly disagree again, because we're all talking on a panel that's not, well, I don't think, that's been affected or victimised from a drink driver. So we haven't gone through an experience of a family member maybe in hospital because of a drink driver, or even the cause to somebody's death on being a drink driver.
I've got an interesting point on that, if that's okay, Nick,
Yeah,
if you'll allow.
If I'll allow.
If
It's a panel show, go for it, Josie.
if someone kills someone else, like a murder happens, I want to see justice in that situation. I want to see real prison time and a program that makes sure that's less likely to happen again, to rehabilitate in society, figure out what went wrong. If someone murders my partner or my sister, I want to kill them. I should not be, as a person affected by that, anywhere near the decision-making process of the justice system in that particular regard. That's why our justice system works or is designed to work the way it should. Because you have to remove a level of emotion from that, I think, to give people fair justice. Otherwise, an eye for an eye. That's where you end up.
But do you? I've sort of. It's not in every case, obviously. If it's murder or if it's horrific, like injury, there are prison sentences and everything there. But if pure example, Josie, because it has been known, we are improving in it, but it has been known that your partner has been put in hospital because of a drink driver, and then you find out from the justice system that they've just been given an 8-month ban for that, and that they can go behind a wheel after that. How would you feel?
Angry, furious, and that's my point. Like, I shouldn't be part of that justice process. If I want to see change there, I can lobby the government, lobby party members to see if we can change something like that. But I should not be part of that justice process because I'm too invested, which I know can sound really callous. It can sound awful because actually someone's life is at stake, and people's lives have been drastically changed. But anger is not the lead we should take in justice. It gets you nowhere. We talked about forgiveness earlier on, and I will correct something I said earlier on, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I talked about I don't do forgiveness. I've realized I actually do forgiveness. I just don't call it forgiveness, because the definition of forgiveness is stopping feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. It's not necessarily giving them anything. It's just it is an internal thing. I think Sue, you touched on it earlier on about an internal letting go, and I think that is the lead. The letting go is the lead we have to take with justice, not anger.
Wow. I'm quite pleased you brought that topic up now. That led us into conversation there, didn't it? But that brings us to the end of this week's Loose Link, ladies. Thank you very, very much for your
I also make poopy fart jokes sometimes. I'm a full package.
But please join us next week, as it's our Halloween special. Sue Craven has very kindly said that I can borrow a face for the show.
You know, he's so rude. That's my resignation. Okay, that's fine.
I can borrow a face for the show, so you'll see Sue next week. But for join us next week, as it's our Halloween special, it's a bit of a fun show. Come and join us. No serious topics or debate, but we talk all Halloween and spook. So come and find out what we've got, as Mike, Carrie and Leah are on the panel with me, and we might all look that tad bit different. So come and find out what we're doing. Can you thank my panel this evening? Joining me, Nicholas Brown in May, was Claire Brown in May, Sue Craven, and Josie Reese. We'll see you next week, and our next week's show is on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. So join us on Tuesday at 9. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.